Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host with the biggest nose, Jay-Z Courtside, coming at y'all today on October 18th. For me, it's the 17th. I'm recording the power forwards and the centers all in one day. It's just I didn't really want to record this on a Saturday morning, and I still wanted to get it out to you guys for 5 days in a row. So I'm gonna just get the quick laundry list out of the way. I don't want to. This is a lot of talking in one day, so we're not going to dive. As I say this, we're not going to dive as deep into this one as we have in the last four positions. Again, I say this, but I guarantee I'm going to start ranting because this is just what I do. Laundry list. All right. So, guys, if you are watching and enjoying, be sure to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Be sure to drop a like and subscribe, and be sure to follow the channels wherever you're at. If you guys do want the visuals, you can watch on YouTube. That's where we're going to be live streaming these podcasts on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, TikTok, everywhere. We're going to be live streaming these daily podcasts Monday through Friday as soon as the season gets started next week. It's going to be 9 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. If you guys want to tune in live, we can do some mailboxes. You guys can come talk to me while I'm doing the podcast. So be sure to follow on all platforms, and be sure to subscribe to our main YouTube channel, Jay-Z Uncut, as well as our Twitter. Join our Discord server. All that fun stuff will be linked down below. Let's say, you guys saw the title. You saw the thumbnail. You guys already know what episode this is. We are going to be finishing off this series where we rank all of the centers at the end of last season and a little bit projecting into next season. We're going to be doing one more podcast probably on Monday. We will be doing it live at 9 a.m. Eastern on the YouTube. We will not be streaming that, we will not be streaming that on YouTube on Monday. We will just be live on Twitch. And then once the season gets started, I think Wednesday will be the first day where we're actually covering the games from the night prior, because the NBA starts on Tuesday. We'll be doing those live. So, guys, let's go ahead and get into this where we rank the top 10 centers in the NBA. I want to start off with, I know I normally don't start with the honorable mentions off rip, but I do want to start with one honorable mention that needs to be talked about. So, as you guys know, I'm a Pistons fan. If you don't know already, if you've watched the previous episodes, again, be sure to go check out the point guard, shooting guard, small forward, and power forward videos after this or before, whenever you are done watching this. If you guys want to know the other rankings, be sure to go check those out. They are in the feed as well, wherever you're listening to on Spotify, Apple, or YouTube. I know I mentioned that we're only going to have one or two Pistons on these top 10 lists because I have to put my biases to the side. I think we can all agree that Asar Thompson is either borderline at 10. If you guys have him out of your top 10, that's fine. But for me, he was an undisputed number 10 pick for me based off last season and projecting onto next. And I am staying true to that. There are only two Pistons on all of these lists that I've done. It was Cade Cunningham and Asar Thompson. So I wanted to mention Jalen Duren here at center, especially after the preseason performances that we've just seen. Jalen Duren only played like 26 minutes in 2 preseason games total. I'm talking between the 2 games, so 13 minutes each. And Duren managed to score 28 points on 80% shooting. He showcased his post game that he said he'd be working on. Apparently, he's got the green light to take as many jump shots as he wants, which I believe. If he can open that in his game, if he has a consistent mid-range and even dabbles in the 3-point, at least prove that they do have to guard you a little bit. Right now, Isaiah Stewart is the Pistons stretch 4/5, and he does a great job at that. In case you guys don't know, Isaiah Stewart is one of the most underrated big men in the entire league. He stands at a short 6'9" for a center, but he stretches the floor. He's our best defender. He can guard the perimeter, which is something that Duren can't do yet. I believe the Pistons will extend him, but if you're watching this on the day that we're actually releasing it on Saturday, it will be a day past the rookie extension contract. So it's either going to happen on today, which is October 17th for me, but 18th for you, or we're just going to wait for him to become a restricted free agent and then extend him then. We just saw how much Keegan Murray went for his extension, $150 million. So I'm sure that scares the Pistons front office a little bit. But Duren last year showcased a lot, and he sucked for the first 30 games in the season. He even came out and said that he was soft, and then he stepped up and evolved into something unbelievable. Him and Cade were one, or they were the leading, yeah, they were number one ranked in lob connections. And I believe that's going to transition into this coming season as well. He's great on the rebounding. He's been averaging a double-double for the last couple of years. And Duren is just an incredible player, and I think he could develop into something special if he can develop some sort of mid-range three-point shot, at least become a threat there, and guard the perimeter a little bit better. The Knicks tore the Pistons up in the playoffs last year on that side of the court because he can't guard Cat. He couldn't guard Cat. Isaiah Stewart is our man, and unfortunately, he was out all the series with a knee injury. So I don't want to talk too deep on that, but if we were doing based off of full projections, I would move Duren on this list minimum at a top 8. I think he could, or sorry, max. I think he could be a top 8 center if we were doing purely projections, because I think Duren's in for a really big year with the 1-2 punch that Cade and him have. But for now, he's going to be in the honorable mentions. So now that we got out of the way, I just said this was going to be a shorter podcast, and here I am already 6 minutes in, and I just spent 2.5 minutes talking about Jalen Duren. At number 10, we have Jarrett Allen. The reason why I wanted to talk about Duren is so that you can understand where my list is at. Duren isn't prolific at one thing. He does a few things great, but he doesn't do a few things perfect like Jarrett Allen does. 13.5 points last season, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, and he's shooting 71% from the field. If he's down low, he's going to yam it on you. If he's down low, he's going to convert. He's shooting 71% from the paint. I know people are going to start talking about his playoff performances. We all know the iconic meme, the lights were too bright. But Jarrett Allen, he's too good in the regular season. He's too good at what he does to not be in this top 10. Shooting 71% from the field is no joke. Obviously, he doesn't shoot, but he does finish around the hoop. And I think he's perfect for, like, if you were to put Jarrett Allen on the Lakers, for example, I think people would have them as true contenders. The fact that they have Ayton over there, Luka needs a running big, a running defensive big that can score down low and convert down there at a high efficient rate, and he can. Jarrett Allen, yes, he sort of disappears in the playoffs. Like, I can't tell you a single Jarrett Allen highlight from the playoffs last season. I mean, it didn't help that they got eliminated in the second round, but Jarrett Allen is prolific at many things. Defensively, incredible. Rebounding, one of the best in the league. And finishing. He does all of that at a prolific rate, right? So he has to be in this top 10. If you got Miles Turner instead of him, spoiler, I understand that. That's fine. At least Miles Turner brings it on the offensive end as well from shooting. But for me, Jarrett Allen does all the little things so well that I have to include him on this top 10. And I think going into this year, he could have his best season yet. I think he just needs to gain more confidence in being able to, like, hey, put that up. You don't need to kick it out every single time you get it. He's really good at the pick and roll. And if he can improve on that pick and pop, then I think the Cavs could do even better. It's just, he doesn't have to, because they have Evan Mobley at the 4, who we talked about in the top 10 power forwards. So with that, I have Jarrett Allen at number 10, and this could be interchangeable. But at number 9, I have Rudy Gobert. Last season, he averaged 12 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1.5 blocks, and he shot 67% from the field. He was 13th in DPOY voting, and he was all defense second team. Rudy Gobert is only relevant on one side of the court, but guess what? He's unbelievable on defense. Unbelievable. We know the clip of Luka breaking him down on the perimeter, but that's not what he's needed to do. Unfortunately for him, they have to sit him in late game situations, because you'll have players like a Luka, like a Kyrie when he gets back, like who else? Curry, who can take him on the perimeter and just absolutely embarrass him. But down low against any other big man, nobody wants to go up against Rudy Gobert. He's big. It looks like he's even bulked up. He's bald now. What do we know about bald players in the NBA? They're fearless. They are terrifying. Look at Caruso. When you are bald, and he pulls it off too. Honestly, he's got a good head. It takes a lot of confidence and a good skull structure to pull off that bald head, and he does it very, 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 very well. Almost as well as he is on the defensive end. He's great at rebounding. He's great at He's okay at finishing. His only fault is that he can't put the ball on the floor, right? which a lot of big men can't do, but he really can't put the ball on the floor. He's not a good facilitator, and he's not good in post work. If you put him in the post, his action is one way. It's either I'm going to put a half hook or I'm passing it out, and it's typically not a good pass. Rudy Gobert is just a better Jarrett Allen, in my opinion. He's better defensively. He's bigger. Something that Rudy Gobert does not get enough credit for is how many shots he alters around the rim. If Victor Wembanyama didn't exist, who we'll talk about later, then Rudy Gobert has the highest percentage at shots altered at the rim. When you drive into him, you don't want to shoot, because even if he's not blocking your shot, he's forcing you to change your shot into something that you don't want, whether it's a reverse, a double clutch, whatever. With his wingspan, he's able to alter as many shots as possible around the hoop. So that's why I have Rudy Gobert at number 9. And if you want to put Jarrett Allen above him, or even Miles Turner, who was an honorable mention, as well as Donovan Clingan, I didn't want to project too much into the future, which is why Clingan isn't on this list. He is an honorable mention. I won't be mad at you if you have him at 10, but if you have him any lower than out of your top 10, I highly disagree, and you're just a Rudy Gobert hater. He gets a lot of flack, but let's not discredit for him for who he is. If they didn't have him out in Minnesota, what kind of defense would they have with just Jaden McDaniels on the perimeter? They lost NAW to the Atlanta Hawks. They would have virtually no defense. Obviously, Ant's a good defender, but somebody who's stopping their actual big men, you can't get much better than Rudy Gobert. So I got to give him his flowers on that. Let me know if you guys agree. At number 8 and number 5 are the only people on this list that I feel like they could be higher on here if I just look at next season. But just looking at this season, this past season, with a little bit of projection going into the next year, this is probably the lowest he's going to be over the next 3 or 4 years. That's why at number 8, I have Bam Adebayo. I know some Heat fans are probably vomiting right now, but let's be real. Last year was his worst year of his career, and I don't think he's going to have another season like that. Bam Adebayo averaged 18 points, 10 rebounds, almost 4.5 assists, almost a steal and a half, and almost a block a game. Shooting 36% from 3 and 52% from 2, and he was voted 10th, or he was 10th in voting in DPOI. That was an off year for Bam. I think we all know that. I think the whole Jimmy situation didn't help. Him and Duncan Robinson had such a great connection. I mean, they've been playing together for years out of Miami, and now he doesn't have Duncan Robinson, but he's got something a little bit better, and that's Tyler Hero. Unfortunately, he's going to be missing the first portion of the year. So this could mean one of two things for Bam. He's great in handoff pick and rolls, and he's great at popping. The issue with Bam is that he was settling all year last year. A lot of people, he's not a center. He's not a center. If Bam truly wanted to be a 3 or a 4, he could. And I think we're going to start seeing him in the 4 action a lot more if Spoelstra starts playing Khalil Ware at the 5, which they absolutely should. So if you're going to see late game situations, I have a feeling it's going to be a Bam and Khalil Ware front court. Bam is a great player. And like I said, this is the lowest that you're ever going to see him in a top 10 ranking situation. I just had to look at last year because, I mean, that's the whole point of this. With a little bit of projection, which is why he's not lower on this list. I think Bam's in for a good year. I think the beginning of the season is going to look one of 2 ways. Number 1, I think you're going to see a scoring up, right? For sure. Without Tyler Hero, somebody's got to put the ball in the hoop. Obviously, they got Big Norm from the Los Angeles Clippers. But I think you're going to see his scoring up for the first couple of weeks while Hero's out. Or he's not going to look good at all. I don't think number 2 is realistic, but we have to bring up both.
Okay.
Both situations. I think I had an alert that just popped up. So if you guys heard that, that's my apologies. Let me go ahead and mute that just in case. I did not think I had my stream alerts on, but I think someone just followed. Yes, that was Ness from Super Smash Bros. If you guys play that. Sorry if that was a jump scare. That's my apologies. Yes, I do think Bam Adebayo is in for a big year, but I think the first couple of weeks are going to be rough without having Hero on his side. I think what's really going to work for them is, since Bam thrives in the pick and pops and the handoffs, I think you're gonna see a lot of action with him and Wiggins, as well as him and Norman Powell, I think Heat fans are in for a very confusing year. I don't think you guys have any high expectations to lock in a playoff spot. I think you guys are pretty much destined to be a play-in team. And whether you can get out of that play-in or not is all dependent on whether or not Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero can truly step up for this team. I think Heat fans, you guys should enjoy this season just to see what you have. I don't think you should put too much stock into what you have. Focus on Khalil Ware. Make sure he improves. Enjoy the Norm show because he's going to be shooting a ton. And just gauge on how Bam looks. This is honestly the most important year of Bam's career. Did we see the best of Bam? Is he on a decline? Or was that just a bad year? Heat fans, for your sake, I hope I hope it's the latter. I hope it was just a bad year. So I have Bam Adebayo at number 8, and I could see him jumping into the top 5, but I could also see him falling out of the top 10. I hope not. I hope not for you Heat fans. Up next, we have somebody that gets, honestly, he might get disrespected more than Rudy Gobert. The only reason he doesn't is because he's not in the spotlight as much. There's nobody that does what this guy does better in the league. And his name is Domantas Sabonis. Domantas Sabonis for the Sacramento Kings. Last season, he averaged 19 points, led the league in rebounding with 14, 6 assists, almost a steal, half a block, shot 42% from deep, and 63% from 2. Domantas Sabonis he was one of the hardest players on this list to rank. Honestly, when I was making this list, I forgot about him entirely. So I had to kick Miles Turner out of my top 10 to put Domantas Sabonis here at number 7. If you want him higher, I won't be mad at you. The consistency that Sabonis has shown throughout his career, even dating back to his Pacers days, has been nothing but consistent. His scoring, his rebounding, and his playmaking in the post. He does it all. His only issue last season was having consistency around him. Zach LaVine, when are you getting your shot? DeMar DeRozan, when are you getting your shot? Malik Monk, what about me? I need my shots. Sabonis' biggest problem last year was that there's only one basketball on the court. And I feel as though that issue has only amplified now going into the 2025-2026 season. He now has DeMar DeRozan, who needs the ball. Zach LaVine, who needs the ball. Malik Monk, who needs the ball. What else? Keegan Murray. You just paid him $150 million. You need the ball. What about Dennis Schroeder, who needs the ball? But wait, there's more. Russell Westbrook, who needs the ball. He cannot shoot off on the catch and shoot. He needs the ball. Sacramento fans, I've said it multiple times throughout this series of podcasts that we've been doing, ranking players. I feel for you. There's 2 teams in this league that I have no idea what they're doing. It's the Chicago Bulls in the East, and it's the Chicago Bulls out west. Who am I calling out west? Sacramento Kings. At least the Chicago Bulls have some young talent to be looking forward to. At least they have Matas Buzelis. Who do Sacramento fans have to look forward to other than Keegan Murray? Domantas Sabonis isn't going to be here long. DeMar DeRozan isn't going to be there long. Zach LaVine isn't going to be there long. Dennis Schroeder is probably going to get traded again. Russell Westbrook is not your future. Malik Monk, you've been shopping him all summer long to the Pistons, to the Heat, to the Warriors because you want Jonathan Kuminga, another player who needs the ball. This franchise has zero direction. Zero. I'm sorry I'm getting so emotional and heated right now, but I am so utterly frustrated with the lack of direction that Sacramento's headed down. They have no future. So Domantas Sabonis, you're at number 7, and I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. You can put Domantas Sabonis on any team, and they would love him. He's not putting up empty calories. He's not. All of his stats are needed. His issue is not him. He's a serviceable defender. I'm not saying he's one of the best by any means. I feel for DeMontis, man. I feel for Kings fans. I don't understand what you guys are doing, and it's not your fault. It's your corrupt owner, and I think he needs an investigation done on him. He's purely just trying to sell tickets. He just wants the team to be good enough to sell tickets, and that's what he's doing. That's what he has. Congratulations. You might sneak into the play-in, maybe. But I need to remind you guys, this sport of basketball, it's not called basketballs. Balls, plural. It's basketball. There's one ball on the court, not multiple. For that, I have Domantas Sabonis at number 7. And unfortunately, it's not his fault. He should be higher. He's wasting his talents in Sacramento. Let's move on to number 6, who I think is another one of the most underrated centers in the league, especially after last year, the performance that he put up. We have Ivica Zubac. He played 80 games last year. 80 games. One of the most consistent players in the league as well. He averaged basically 17 points, 13 rebounds, and about 3 assists. He had 1 steal, 1 block. He was voted 6th in DPOI, and he was defensive second team. All while shooting a solid 63% from the field. Zubac is one of my favorite centers in the league. I had him at 5, but I had to project a little into next year. I had to be fair to the player that I have above him. Zubac he's going to give you exactly that. He's going to give you energy. He's going to give you defense. He's going to give you consistency and post work. I'll tell you this much. When I saw the Nuggets against the Clippers in the playoffs, when I went to 7 games, I have never seen Jokic have to work, mind you, I'm being generous here because we're talking about Jokic, right? I've never seen somebody it worked so incredibly well against Jokic. Jokic was actually having to work against Zubac. He wasn't just putting up whatever the hell he wanted. Jokic had to work. He was sweating. Jokic still averaged over 30 points a game in that series, but it was not an easy 30 average. Jokic was having to work, and it was because of that man Zubac down low. His post work, chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. His defense, incredible. He brings so much energy. He's a lob threat. Zubac is such a great center that nobody gives credit to in this league, and I have to give him credit. I had him at number 5. But I had to move him to number 6 because of the player above him. I personally would take over Zubac. That's how you got to look at these lists, y'all. Would you rather have Rudy Gobert or Jared Allen? I'd rather have Rudy Gobert, not his contract, obviously. Would you rather have Bam Adebayo or Rudy Gobert? I'd rather have Bam. Would you rather have Domantas Sabonis or Bam? I'd rather have Sabonis, right? Zubac, I'd rather have him over all of the guys I just mentioned. He brings it on both ends. He's consistent. He plays a lot of games, and guess what? That lack of that effort does not lack game after game after game. He was the rock all season long with Kawhi missing the first 3 months. Him and James Harden are an elite 1-2 punch in this league. An elite 1-2 punch. Now you insert Bradley Beal, John Collins right next to him. And then he actually gets to rest because you have a competent center behind him in Brook Lopez. The Clippers may be the oldest team in the league. They may be the oldest team in NBA history. They actually are. I looked that up. They're the oldest team in NBA history. But Zubac makes them look hell of a lot younger. He saves James Harden's ass when he's not defending. Zubac is a great safety net to have in the paint, and he's one of the best centers in the league. Again, I would have had him top 5, but I had to project a little. Zubac, I hope I gave you the credit that you feel that you deserve. I think you're an incredible talent, and I don't think anybody can say anything bad about you. Now, we are about to enter our top 5. Remember, I had Zubac at my number 5, but because we're projecting a little bit into next season, this is a guy that I can't talk enough about. and his name is Alperen Şengün. Alperen Şengün for the Houston Rockets played 76 games last year. He averaged 19 points, 10 and a half rebounds, 5 assists, shooting 50% from the field and 23% from three-point. He has 1 steal, 1 block, and he was an all-star last year. Alperen Şengün has one of the highest upsides in the entire league. He is the main reason, not Kevin Durant. Şengün is the main reason why everyone talks about the Houston Rockets. Him and obviously Amen, who we spoke about in a previous episode. Şengün's ceiling, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know. All I can tell you is that next year he could jump up this list to top 3. Undisputed top 3 too. I mean that. I mentioned that Bam and one more player can jump up through this list, and that's Şengün. The amount of talent that this guy shows is undeniable. He outworks whoever is defending him. He hasn't even mastered his post game. He's obviously not an elite defender, but he brings it so well on the offensive side of the court that I feel like it makes up for it. Because it's not like he's a liability on defense either. The Houston Rockets are the biggest team in the league. And I mean that literally. They are, stature-wise, the biggest team in the league, especially with Fred VanVleet going down. Now, my main issue with the Houston Rockets is the fact that they have no shooters. I just mentioned it when I was talking about the Rockets in a couple episodes prior to this. But they have Durant, who doesn't really shoot many threes. He shoots them at a high clip, but he doesn't shoot that many threes. Fred VanVleet was their most reliable and most consistent three-point shooter. So was Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks, but now they shipped them in exchange for Kevin Durant. If Şengün can stretch his game better from beyond the three-point line, what is stopping this guy from being one of the best centers in the league? I'll tell you, it's absolutely nothing. Şengün's upside, it's unbelievable. If you guys have NBA League Pass, I highly recommend you to watch some Houston Rockets games, because when you see Şengün play, he doesn't really remind you of many players. He's sort of a one of one, and that's why he's so interesting. And that's why he's my number 5. I had him at number 6, but then I looked forward to next year, and I was like, what we're seeing with Zubac is pretty much what we're going to see with Zubac. Straight consistency. But Alperen Şengün could average more than 20. He could grab you more than 10 rebounds. He's doing it. And he can net you 5-6 assists. If his post game improves even more, then they're going to run him at point forward, and why not? Bring the ball, let men bring the ball up the court, especially with Fred VanVleet out. They're going to need other primary ball handlers. I'm not saying Şengün was going to be bringing the ball up the court, but why can't he catch it at the high elbow? Let him work from the post and find the open man. The unfortunate part is that they don't have shooters, so it's probably going to be mostly people in the dunker spot or cutting to the hoop. Şengün's my number 5, and if you want to put him higher or if you want to put him lower, I'm not going to be mad. Like I said, if you want Zubac over him, that's fine. But I don't think there's anybody else that you can take over Alperen Şengün. He's just an incredible talent. And he could be at 4. This man, who I have at number 4, only played 32 games last year. He played a few at the beginning, sat out the majority, but then finished this season strong. Played all those games. He played 32 games last year. That's why at number 4, I have Chet Holmgren of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Remember, I'm basing off of last year, off what I saw, right? Off of what I saw. And last year alone, with projections towards next year. Chet averaged 15 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, over 2 blocks, all while shooting about 50% from the field and 38% from deep. Chet Holmgren is one of the catalysts as to why the Oklahoma City Thunder are so good. He just got his rookie extension. Him, J-Dub, and Shea are being paid $750 million between the two of them for their contracts. Chet Holmgren is going to be the sole reason why the Thunder will be a dynasty. If they're a dynasty. he will be the sole X factor of this team. They will go as far as Chet will take them. Shea is great. Shea is undeniable. J-Dub is great. Shea and J-Dub are incredible talents. But Chet will be the reason why this team goes so far and for so long. They're locked in. They are the youngest team in the NBA. There is no reason why Chet should be out of anybody's top 5. If you're looking based off of last season and projecting into the next, he's going to get stronger. He might still grow a little bit like we've seen Wembanyama. And he's only going to continue to be a threat from deep and a threat down low. Defensively, this kid's got it. He's averaging over 2 blocks a game already. Chet is going to be in this league for a long time, and he already looks like a vet. Yes, he looks like a child. He's got a baby face. But his play, you can see the dumb mistakes that he makes. And then you forget, like, oh my God, this guy's a kid. I think bringing in Hartenstein last season was such an underrated move because it allowed Chet to learn what it's like to be a big man in this league. And who better than Hartenstein to learn from? He's big, he's brolic, he grabs rebounds, he plays defense, he has an inexhaustible motor. And I think Chet even said it himself that he's learned so much from Hartenstein. He's a great big man to learn from. And I think that's only going to make Chet even more incredible. Why can't he bring his 15-point average to 20 points per game next season? There's nothing stopping him other than his health. We just need a full healthy season of Chet, and it's scary hours. That's all. And it's not like he was healthy all playoffs. He was healthy towards the end of the season. So if we can get just a full healthy season, there's nothing stopping Chet from being one of the undisputed best centers in the NBA. And they have a dynasty. And it all starts with Chet. It starts with Shea, but it ends with Chet. He's incredible. He's absolutely unbelievable. But there are still 3 players who I have above him based off of last season and some projecting. Now, I think you guys can notice already that there's somebody on this list that's probably not going to get named now that there's only 3 names. I know you all are thinking, Joel Embiid. I will put him up as an honorable mention. Former MVP. Had the chance to be one of the best centers of all time. I'm done with the whole if. He was not healthy last year. He still put up a whopping like mid 20 point per average games, but he wasn't healthy. If you watched Joel Embiid play at all last year, that wasn't Joel Embiid. That was not Joel Embiid. He couldn't shoot a 3. He couldn't shoot. He couldn't move. Joel Embiid's not in my top 10. We're basing it off of last season. He is not in my top 10. I hope he gets better because the NBA is better when Joel Embiid is healthy. Unfortunately, I don't know if we're ever going to see that. So Joel Embiid is not in my top 10, and I hope you understand. He wasn't healthy all last year, and I don't know if he's going to be healthy this year. He's not playing in training camp, so I didn't feel the need to include him onto this list because I don't know what he's looking like next season either. I can't project anything on Joel Embiid. You can't project anything on Joel Embiid. And we can't look at last season and say that was Joel Embiid because that was not Joel Embiid. So at number 3, I have Karl Anthony Towns. Last season, he played 72 games. He averaged 24.5 points, 13 rebounds, 3 assists. He shot 53% from the field and 42. That's not a typo. 42% from 3. He also added a steal and a block. He was an all-star and he was 3rd team All-NBA. Karl Anthony Towns is one of the most interesting players in the league. He's being in trade discussions every single day about Giannis. And last season, we were unsure of what we were going to see with the New York Knicks. But I think the bright spots were enough to show you what they could be. And that's a championship contending team. He missed training camp. He didn't get to play with them the trade happened so late that he just joined and he was thrown into a system that was already made. And with a coach like Tom Thibodeau, before he got fired in the offseason, he stays with what he's comfortable with. And what he was comfortable with was let Jalen Brunson dribble the air out of the ball and let him shoot. Karl-Anthony Towns averaged 24.5 points on barely touching the ball. Barely. He shot 42% from three. No plays ran for him. I watched it firsthand when it was Pistons versus Knicks in the playoffs. He had like 2 30-point games, and he won them games. Karl-Anthony Towns won them games in that series. Obviously, if you remove Jalen Brunson, they're not there. But Karl-Anthony Towns, when given the opportunity, has shown that he will step up and show out. I think with this new offense of Mike Brown leading this team, we saw what Mike Brown did with the Light the Beam Kings a few years back, and he's going to do the same thing here. Ball movement, ball movement, ball movement. Jalen Brunson, sure, he can dribble the air out of the ball at late game situations. He can do that. We'll give him that. He's incredible at it. Don't change that. But for the other 46 minutes out of that game, the plays that are about to be ran through Mikal Bridges, through OG Anunoby, through Mitchell Robinson or Yabusele on pick and rolls, and Karl-Anthony Towns, I am, as a Knicks hater, I am so excited to watch this team next season. Because Mike Brown is going to instate one thing and one thing only, and that's ball movement. I'm not going to play you guys 45 minutes out of the 48 minutes in a game. I'm not going to allow Jalen Brunson to just dribble the shot clock out every single possession from the first to fourth quarter. I'm not going to allow this team to be selfish of the basketball. And I think Karl-Anthony Towns is in for the best season of his entire career. What's he going into, his 10th year? This is, mark my words, he can make me look like a fool, but if he stays healthy like he's been all his career, I see no reason why he won't be averaging 25, 26, whatever it may be. That percentage that he was shooting from 2-point and 3-point should not go down. He is that good of a player. And I think now with the connection that he has built with Brunson, with OG, with Mikal, with Robinson, you're going to see him play that 4, and I think he'll be a lot more comfortable. Karl-Anthony Towns is a center, but I think he plays better being at that 4 spot next to an actual true center and Mitchell Robinson or Yabusele being undersized. I'm very excited as an unbiased fan of the Knicks. I think Karl-Anthony Towns is in for one of the best seasons of his career. I saw his stat line and I literally said, wait, what? Am I looking at that right? Because I could not believe that he averaged that many points last year on no plays called for him. Knicks fans, you guys should be extremely excited because this is the year. If it ain't this year, it's not going to be next year. I assure you that. If it ain't this year, then I don't know what that means for Karl-Anthony Towns' future in New York, because he's obviously going to be the scapegoat. They're not going to trade Jalen Brunson ever. I assure you that. His contract is too low for them to get rid of. You're not going to find a player doing as much as Jalen Brunson. Half of what Jalen Brunson's doing for that price tag that he's got on him. So I have Karl-Anthony Towns at my 3, which means, since I did not include Joel Embiid on this list, who's in the top 2? Guys, don't worry. I'm not a psychopath. I'm not a new gen NBA fan. I'm not going to do what you think I'm going to do. At number 2, I have Victor Wembanyama. He played 46 games last season. He had to sit out because of the blood clot that he got, but he's all good. If you guys have been following his offseason, not only has he grown in height, he has also bulked up. He was also in, I think, China, I believe. He averaged almost 24.5 points, 11 rebounds, basically 4 assists, a steal, and 3.8 blocks. Let's just say 4 blocks per game, as well as a steal. He was an all-star and shot 47.6% from the field and 35% from deep. Ladies and gentlemen, we are seeing basketball enter a new dimension with the alien that is Wembanyama. I have never been more excited to watch one player in my entire life. Mind you, I have Cade Cunningham on my team. And as excited as I am this year to watch Cade and how good he's looked, I have never been this excited to watch one single player. And I'm sure you guys feel me. I'm sure you guys agree with me. I'm sure you guys remember Boban Marjanovic, right? Boban, right? He's 7'3" or 7'4", right? He said he was hanging out with Wembanyama at some point during the summer. And he was looking up at Wembanyama. He was looking up at Wemby. Did you hear me? He said, and I quote Boban here, that there's no way Wembanyama's 7'4". He's 7'7". 7'7". Moving the way he's moving, shooting the way he's shooting, and defending the way he's defending like we've never seen ever in NBA history. They were not lying when they said this is a generational talent. Now that he got the blood clot out of the way, I pray and hope that we can get a full, healthy season of Victor Wembanyama next to his running mate, Luke Cornett. They're calling him French Vanilla. Love that nickname. And now he's going to have a healthy De'Aaron Fox running the show. And a young Dylan Harper. I don't know if De'Aaron Fox is going to be the future of the San Antonio Spurs. I think they're going to try coaching Dylan Harper to be that because they lucked out with that draft pick as well. Spurs fans, I think everyone in America, I think everyone in the world, including France, are rooting for you guys now. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Because being that underdog, I felt it last year. Except Pistons were the underdog. Nobody expected them to make that leap, right? So that's why everybody was cheering for the Pistons. You guys are expected to do well. You guys are expected not to lock in a playoff spot, but playing, I think, is your floor. Your floor should be a play-in spot. The West is tough, but you guys are expected to be good because of one man and one man only, and his name is Victor Wembanyama. I hope the expectations aren't through the roof because this is a young team, an extremely young team. I didn't even mention Castle. I didn't even mention Vassell. I didn't mention Keldon Johnson. I didn't mention anybody else on this team, and yet already the hype I have to watch the San Antonio Spurs has never been more high than any team. Honestly, I've never been this excited. I'm more excited to see this than I was excited to see Austin Day in the summer league for the Detroit Pistons like 15 years ago. That's a joke, by the way. Spurs fans, enjoy the good press that you guys are getting around the world, because as soon as you guys are good, expect everybody to hate you. Enjoy everyone loving you right now, because it's never going to be more comforting than what you're feeling right now. Wembanyama has potential to be a 1-time, 2-time, 3-time, 4-time MVP of this league. But he's not yet, because at number 1, we have a 4-time MVP in Nikola Jokic. I know he only has 3, but book it. Jokic is going to be the MVP of this league, and he's going to enter an echelon that nobody could have ever predicted. He is going to be the undisputed generational player of this generation. He's going to be up there with LeBron with 4 MVPs. He's going to be up there with all the other all-time greats who only managed to get 4 most valuable players in the league. Nikola Jokic, last season, played 70 games. He averaged 30 points. He averaged about 13 rebounds. He averaged over 10 assists. This man averaged 2 steals, half a block, 57% from the field, 42% from 3. He was second in MVP voting, second in clutch player of the year. He was an all-star, and he was an all first team NBA. Nikola Jokic won MVP. The next year, Giannis won MVP. The year after that, Jokic won MVP. The year after that, Embiid won the MVP. The year after that, Jokic won the MVP. Last year, Shea won the MVP. Do you sense a pattern here? Jokic is due for his fourth most valuable player. I think the media wants to give it to him. I don't think they want to give it to Shea back-to-back years. I think they want to give it to Jokic. I think they want to thrust Nikola Jokic into that conversation of all-time greats. He averaged a 30-point triple-double. Are you even hearing me? He did the unthinkable. 30-point triple-double. He averaged that over 70 games. And he only increased that productivity in the playoffs. They were one injury away from beating the Oklahoma City Thunder. Imagine Game 7 went differently. Imagine Aaron Gordon wasn't hurt. Imagine Michael Porter Jr. wasn't hurt. Imagine he had a backup center. We would be having completely different conversations with the Oklahoma City Thunder. We would be talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo being traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder with all the draft picks and young talent they have. That not happening has put us into a new conversation. Remember everything I just said about injuries, about players? They traded Michael Porter Jr., who was already a liability at most times, for Cam Johnson. In my opinion, that was a lateral move. That was more than a lateral move. Cam Johnson, I would take Cam Johnson over Michael Porter Jr. They replaced Russell Westbrook with Bruce Brown, who I think is going to have a resurrection career now that he's back with Jokic. They added Tim Hardaway Jr., who's going to look like one of the best. He's going to look like the reincarnate of Klay Thompson when he's next to Nikola Jokic. Open threes? He wasn't getting open threes in Detroit. He's going to have open threes with Nikola Jokic. Guess what else? And I think the most important detail that not many people are talking about in this league. He has a backup center. Nikola Jokic has a backup center, not just a backup center, but a competent one in Jonas Valanciunas. I'm not saying they're going to be posting up Jonas Valanciunas 5 times a game, but what they can do is not have to worry and hold their breath when Nikola Jokic steps off the court, which they've been doing for the last 5 years. Denver is my favorite to win the West. Denver is my favorite to win the championship. Nikola Jokic is my favorite to win most valuable player next year. If he wins MVP and he wins another championship this year, Nikola Jokic has entered an entirely different conversation. He will then have 2 finals MVPs. He will then have 4 most valuable players. And he would then have 2 NBA championships with potential to get a third next year. And the year after that. And the year after that. And the year after that. The Denver Nuggets have one X factor, and that's Jamal Murray. With the change in the All-Star voting, Jamal Murray is Canadian. He very well could get a slot to become an All-Star. It might even be harder now for him to get a slot. He has never won an All-Star. Jamal Murray is healthy going into this offseason. He is healthy going into this next season. If Jamal Murray can play it slow, be easy, go into the playoffs healthy, I see no reason. I see no world where the Denver Nuggets do not win the NBA title next year. I'm so excited for this NBA season. And with that being said, that's our top 10 centers going into this season. I hope you guys enjoyed this little series where we rank the point guard, shooting guard, small forwards, power forwards, and centers. I understand that this is a very emotional heavy podcast, but I'm a passionate guy and I love my big man. Do you guys remember 10 years ago, the centers that we had in this league? We were hyping up Hassan Whiteside. We were hyping up Al Jefferson, Paul Millsap, Al Horford, who's still in the league, Greg Monroe, Andre Drummond. We were starving for good centers. These 5 guys alone, Nikola Jokic, Victor Wembanyama, Karl-Anthony Towns, Chet Holmgren, and Alfred Şengün, the center position is back. We've never been more back. It's going to be a fun season, folks. If you guys did enjoy, be sure to leave a 5-star review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you are on YouTube, be sure to subscribe and hit that like button. And let me know what center you're most excited for going into this upcoming season. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys want to catch these podcasts live, the NBA season begins Tuesday night. We're going to be starting our daily podcast next week where we do it live on Twitch, on YouTube, on TikTok, Kick, everywhere. We're probably going to be starting them live on Wednesday next week because we'll be covering the games from the opening night. But I still expect maybe one more podcast before the season starts. Maybe two. We'll see what other news breaks. There is one podcast I want to do. Probably record that Monday and post it on Tuesday just before the season starts. Like, oh, look forward to opening night, what things to look for and whatnot. So, guys, be sure if you want to get involved in the community to join the Discord server, follow the Twitter, subscribe to the YouTube, follow the Apple and Spotify podcast feeds, and be sure to be on the lookout for upcoming episodes. Daily podcasts all season long, beginning next week. Be sure to check them out live. We'll be live on Twitch primarily at 9 a.m. Eastern, and we'll be streaming them here as well. But starting Wednesday, we'll be streaming them here. Starting Wednesday. So I hope to see you there live. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I got nothing left to say except for thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. Be sure to leave a like and a 5-star review. And thank you for watching / listening. I'll see you in the next one. It's going to be a fun season, man.